Hi, I'm Solution Podcast, and today I welcome my friend and guest, Jena Turner from Houston, Texas. Welcome, Jena.
Thank you so much, Maria. I'm so happy to be with you today.
I wanted to be in a business that I did not have a ceiling. Take a pen and a piece of paper, draw a line, draw another line next to it. At 365 days, if you drew 365 lines, you started here with one line, but look how far you've come.
Jena, welcome. I'm ready to get right into it with you this morning.
Awesome. Let's go.
Let's do it. So, Jena, thanks for being on here. You're from Houston, Texas, and this morning you told me you're riding through major rain and puddles and storms.
Yes, we're fixing to kick off our hurricane season, so the street flooding has started. And Houston sometimes gets a bad reputation for flooding, but it's really only pockets and certain streets and bayous and things that we, highways that we have to cross over that kind of gridlock you into certain neighborhoods that are high and dry. So I was doing some creative work to get to the office today, and I'm what is not pictured here are my professional rain boots to show properties in all day.
Well, you're prepared. Nothing like a woman prepared.
Yes.
So your story is not unusual of that of an entrepreneur. You were in the hospitality industry for many years and decided to get into real estate. We're doing so great at your company and got your panties in a bunch and decided to open up your own company. So through conflict comes a solution. Yes, a solution. I found realty, right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
How long ago was that?
So I opened up Found Realty a little over 2 years ago. I had been in real estate about 8 years before that. But it really was like a 24-hour decision. I had no interest in owning a brokerage. And then all of a sudden I couldn't find the solution I needed in Houston in my marketplace. And so we just said, I went to my staff and I had a few team members at the time. And I said, hey, what if we just did this thing and we went indie, and what do you guys think? And it was 100% we're on board. And so, their belief in me kind of made me say like, well, if they're willing to go, then I guess I should be willing to open this up. So now we started with like 5 of us originally, 1 staff member and 4 salespeople, including myself. And now we're at about 28 in our organization. So 3 full-time staff and then 25 agents.
That's fabulous. That shows your dedication and commitment to not only the industry, but to yourself and your family and your business partners in your company.
Yeah, it's been super fun to watch it grow. And it definitely is nice to, I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old boy, and we'll be driving through neighborhoods now and see mommy's real estate sign. And that's kind of cool. That's kind of a cool thing for us to do, where my 5-year-old's like, mommy, your sign. And that's a great feeling. So
you have 2 new associates in the making.
Yes, let's hope so. Gosh, I really need them to be trained up in this business. That would be great. My husband installs our signs right now. That's his job. Not his full-time job. He's a banker by day and a sign installer by night. But my boys are learning everything right now from the bottom up, installing signs and sitting in the car while we're doing showings and, all of it. So that they're getting to see it for sure.
They're learning boots on the ground from the ground up how to run a real estate company.
Yes, correct.
And I'm sure it's really great because they get to see how hard their mom works.
Yeah.
And that instills confidence, and it teaches them a lot about life and how, hard work is what it's part of what it's about, and being able to, and showing the success of it, the reaping the rewards of the hard work. So
yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
That's great. So before we got on this morning, you were talking about marketing in your business and some of the things that you've learned this year and over the last year, and some of the things that you want to bring to the market. What are you currently working on?
Yeah, so I think we started off like most realtors or business owners. You start off in January and you have a fresh sheet of paper and you're like, this is my plan for the year and it's going to be great and I'm going to execute all these things. And then transactions happen and inspections and appraisals and crazy market and COVID stuff and all sorts of things happen that get us distracted from our path on what our original goals were for the year. So I've really done a deep dive with my team this week about getting back to our calendar of what we call a marketing calendar, but basically, it has all of the items that we want to accomplish for the year. And then it divides it up by month and we get to execute, smaller goals. So at the beginning of June, I get to say, okay, it wasn't too ambitious if I say, oh, I want to do a video every week and I want to do this and I want to do, a mailer, I want to farm to a neighborhood. That's kind of overwhelming if you just have this huge running list. But by breaking it up in months, we try to focus on, 3 or 4 good things that are going to be accomplished that month. And then those micro commitments make it easier to actually accomplish things instead of a bunch of lofty goals.
Absolutely. So yesterday I saw in the chat, you were writing something about community events, festivals, and
Yeah, so that's pre-COVID, that was really our life. And I think now, I think the media makes it look like, Texas is a free for all, maskless, and we're all open for business, but there's just still a lot of measures in place on social distancing. So we're not seeing as many community events still yet, but they're starting to come back. And that was something that we really had down to a science before COVID, was every community event that we could have a table at, we would have a table there. And normally we would always have like a raffle basket. That was a really good way for us to follow up with members of our community, and also collect information from members of our community, and give us a second while somebody's filling out a raffle form to have, a conversation. Things like we've given away 300 pumpkins at a fall festival. We've given away dog treats at a dog festival. Did you ever picture that we'd be at a point in our lives where we have dog festivals? But here we are. So we really just tried to find things that we liked and that we were interested in. And that's something that I coach our agents on all the time. Like, if you're a dog person and you also sell real estate, then like get involved on the dog things, right? Like go to dog festivals, talk to dog people. Dog rescue is a huge thing in Houston. We have a pretty bad problem with overpopulation of stray pets. And a lot of my agents, like, that's their jam, right? So I always am encouraging them to say, like, dive all in on that. Like, what can we do to go all in on that and also sell a little bit of real estate on the side?
So let's go back for a second. Your business prior to COVID, a lot of it was focused on in-person community events. I'm going to say there are festivals that you tied into through either the local, neighborhood association, or through marketing through radio stations or something like that. Is that like local chili cook-off, or?
Yes, yeah. Anything we could do face-to-face, elbow to elbow with our community. And
so how many were you doing a year?
I would say probably 10 events. So community events, participation in at least 10. And then we would host, I have a pretty big office space. It's 2,400 square feet on one of the best streets in one of the most popular neighborhoods in Houston. And we really use that space to our advantage. So we were hosting anywhere from 4 to 8 events at our office and opening them up to the community per year.
What kind of events were you having?
I've had some crazy ones. I've had a Bob Ross painting party.
What?
Do you know Bob Ross?
No, but how does that work? You have a painting party at your office, like to have wine and paint?
Yes, like I bought like 100 easels and canvases and paint supplies, and I became one of those like wine and painting things for one night.
That's cool.
Yeah, but that's always been my thing. If I years ago, somebody approached me and said like, oh, you got to buy Zillow leads, or oh, you got to do this, or oh, you got to do this, and said, if I just spent the same amount of money and actually gave it back to the consumer, right? And if I focused on the consumer and the community aspect of it, wouldn't my business grow as well? Wouldn't leads come in that way? And I actually get to do what I like and hang out with people that I like, know, and trust, right?
So
These
following your passion.
Right. So, when COVID happened, that was really, all of a sudden, my marketing budget last year was like, wow, we haven't spent any money on parties or any money on all these things that we used to really invest in. And we're working our way back to it. We've had a couple of happy hours that are socially distanced now that more people are back in the workplace. But I haven't had one of our big blow up events yet. I just felt like, we gotta
Sure.
give it more time.
Gotta ease into it. But you can plan that for the fall. So what's some of the big events you used to do?
So we do a Santa event every year. So pictures with Santa plus a Christmas market. So I give small businesses an opportunity to have a market space there.
Where?
And my dad loves being Santa Claus. I actually tried to hire someone and he was really offended. So then I just bought him his own Santa costume.
That's so cute.
And it's kind of a family affair now.
So where does that take place, Jena?
At my office, and people sign up for time slots to come sit on Santa's lap, and then they can take family pictures.
On a Saturday?
Yeah, we have a professional photographer here. Have a little coffee truck, food truck, and people look forward to it every year. And honestly, it's so cool because I get so many Christmas cards, and the photos used are the photos from our office and the free photographer and Santa setup that I have here. So last year, actually with COVID, we decided, well, we shouldn't have a big party with Santa. And my parents are older and weren't vaccinated then, and so we said, why don't we do this a little differently? So December of 2020, we actually set up 3 different backdrops. One like classic fireplace kind of backdrop, one a little bit more funky and fun with hanging tinsel and that sort of thing. And we set up 3 different backdrops, and we set up wrapping tables with all sorts of Christmas wrapping supplies. And we essentially opened our office Monday through Saturday, 7 days a week for the month of December, opened it up to the public so they could come in, wrap their presents socially distanced, and use our backdrops, and any agents in our office would take their photo for them for their family Christmas card. So we tried to figure out a way around it to still do this event. But
Jena, that's amazing. So you, for the month of December, so December 1st till whatever, 24th, 23rd, you had people just dropping by during the middle of the day to wrap presents and take a picture?
Yes.
How
And
does one do real estate and host Santa and presents? I couldn't do it, Jena. I commend you.
You know what though? I really enjoy this stuff, right? Like this stuff is, you know, sometimes I talk at like real estate events and I feel a little bit like the kindergarten teacher, right?
I love it.
Because, you know, I'm talking next to some big dogs, right, that are doing crazy numbers. And I'm like, well, I have a Christmas wrapping paper station at my office, you know, and they're looking at me like, does that work, ma'am? But it does. And I think what was important about it is that it showed our community that we were still there, right? And we didn't have a huge amount of people come in, but I would say we had 5 to 7 people a week coming in, taking their family photos, wrapping I had some moms here that were just hiding out from their families, honestly. They were wrapping presents and then they were lounging on the couches at my office and they were like, can we just stay here? It's nice here. We'll serve you coffee and we'll crank open the champagne for mimosas after 10 a.m. But it was the sense of community, right? And so we're trying to figure out a way to still feel connected to our community despite the challenges we've had over the last now over a year.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so inspired. All these community events. What's your favorite one?
One of my favorite ones is we did a succulent garden party. So we bought all the supplies. We bought 500 tiny succulents, little 1-2 inch succulents and planters and dirt and all the things. And that was a really nice evening. We had it was a ladies event and we had a bunch of ladies come in. I think we did it around Mother's Day in 2019 or 20. Yeah, it had been 2019 because of what happened in 2020. But that was a really fun event. Wine, cheese boards, charcuterie boards, and then people coming in and planting little gardens. That one was fun. But we always try to think outside the box of
well, Jena, I sense that. I was just about to ask you I consider myself kind of creative, but I don't think I was going to be coming up with the succulent planting of the tree event. How does this happen?
Well, someone invited me to I'm inspired by other businesses, right? So someone invited me to a bar where they were doing a succulent planter and then you got like a free beer or something. And so they invited me and I was like, well, that's really cool. And it was kind of fun and it's therapeutic. I'm not a gardener. I kill like cactus, right? But it was therapeutic to sit there with your hands in the dirt, right? Planting something and you're not too financially invested in it, right? Because you just got a free beer and a planter at a bar. And I said, hey, that was kind of fun. I think our customers would like that. So I'm always looking outside the box of what are other people doing? What are other industries doing? And how can I make that fit with what we're trying to do? And what does it have to do with real estate? Nothing. But it brings people back into our office, reminds them that we're there. And it also shows that we're a resource to them way after the transaction, which is important to me.
So the people you're inviting, are they just clients or are they just people in your community? People that you worked with in the past, and who comes to the events?
Yeah, so we started off with just clients, and then the fear is always how many people are going to show up, right? I actually was coaching one of our agents through her first client event because now these people are starting to get wings of their own and doing their own thing, and I was coaching her through her first one, and she was going to do a happy hour at kind of a fun food truck park and invite people. And she's like, Jena, I'm so afraid of inviting 20 people because what if I can't afford like the drinks for 20 people, right? Or what if what if all 20 people show up and a friend shows up and, I only have so much money budgeted. And she's a newer agent, been licensed less than a year. And I said, you know what? Not everyone's going to show up. And you can almost guarantee that like 4 people, show up to your first one. And that's okay. That's fine. You got to start somewhere. I told her that my first event I ever did, I split it with another agent because we were so broke. And no one except our broker showed up. And over time, and consistency, people started to say, like, she keeps doing these things. She keeps asking me. I don't show up. I want to show up. That sounds awesome. But today's not a good day for me. But the consistency of it is that now that people know what to expect, right? And now we could be looking at 200 people in an event. Post-COVID, I'll probably go back to just inviting clients for a bit. And then we'll start expanding that up as the year or so goes on. But when you're starting out in community events or client events, understand that no one's going to show up. But there's also benefit to that. You get the touch of you've sent them an invitation. Normally I send them a reminder the day of, so that's 2 touches. If they come, that's 3 touches. And then I send everyone, whether they come or not, a follow-up thanking them for or giving a summary of the event. So if anything, they've heard from me 4 times and it's not about real estate, it's just about fun. And those are good touches for our database.
I'm so inspired by you right now.
Thank you. It's time.
I really am.
Has snow melted there? Can you?
Yes, it's right now. It's like 70 degrees. I walked in my office this morning and at 10 of 8, I got here and I said, I put the air right on. I said, I can't even believe it. It's going to be 88 today. I'm checking. It's 73 right now. It's going to be 88 degrees. That's hot.
That is hot for you. That's great for me. I'll take 88 all day. I wouldn't even turn on the AC yet at that point.
Get out of here.
But yeah, no, this is a time to shine. I live in a place that has pretty fair weather, year round. So we have to do things indoors certain months of the year because it's too hot. But, if you're in a market where you're kind of controlled by the weather or snow and that sort of thing, like this is your time to shine, right? This is the time to start doing these events. And I think the hardest thing for agents to realize is like the fear of rejection. What if no one shows? What if no one comes? And what if no one thinks this is a cool idea? And what if they may not? And you know what? There's been a lot of times where I've brought a lot of catered food home to my house because we had so much extra. But consistently, we've grown this to be really big events, and we're always thinking of something fun. And it kind of breaks up the monotony of what we do a little bit also.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you, the real estate market in Houston is like the rest of the country, pretty crazy, or?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, Houston covers, it takes like an hour and a half to get from one side of Houston to the other. Houston covers a lot of square footage, right? So my agents who work out in the suburbs they're in the trenches. We're all working so much harder than we normally do with less contracts because we don't have the properties to sell. We got the buyers. Instead of running out and showing 3 properties at a time, we're having to run out the door and show 1 property at a time. And if it's out in the suburbs, it probably has 15 offers on it. Most of my business is more hyper-focused in the city and smaller yards, 3-story, with vertical living.
Attached?
Yeah. And that stuff has been moving slower
Same here.
Yeah, it has. It's doing good because we have low inventory, but it's not doing great.
Right. So you get the offer and you're like, 1 week, we got the offer.
Yeah. So
let's go.
You're doing.
And if you're in the suburbs, that agent is like, well, I got 52 showings and 16 offers.
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on what you're listing, where you're listing it in Houston. And
same here.
Yeah. So much of what we really need is like, and I think you and I talked about this in Orlando when we saw each other, is what we really need is like corporate Houston to decide what the heck they're doing.
That's right.
And like, okay, are you guys work from home like for a long time, a little bit more time? Because I feel like the conversation I keep having with consumers is, where's my business? Like, if I'm going to work from home, then I can sell this house and I can move somewhere else. But if I have to start commuting back into the city, what is that going to look like? And the undecision, no decision being made is kind of killing us. I just need the big companies to make a decision so we can start shuffling some real estate.
So here in Philadelphia, we opened fully June 11th, but a lot of the corporate America isn't slated to come back till September or January 2022, if they are all coming back.
Right. Yeah. Do you actually have more of a plan than we have? There's no plan. I mean, nobody said anything about like when, things are going to start, what's going to happen. Which is weird, because I think when other people see on the news about Texas and like our mask mandates and stuff, they think that like it's just all open, and it's not. And especially with big corporations, like masks are still required and social distancing is still required. So it's not a big free for all down here in Texas, for sure.
Yeah, I think, the media sends that message. But, we got to keep doing our thing. So I wonder, the market's crazy. So how do we fit in community events? How do we fit in some of these things? I don't even know what's coming up yet, because none of that's really been unleashed. Of when I think some of the events will be, towards mainly the fourth quarter. So they'll be all compressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. It's funny, Jena, because when I started in the industry, I used to get tables at events. And then, it is what it is. You're there all day. I was actually the one with some people that would be standing there for 2 days in a row for like 10 hours back then.
Yeah.
And you do that for a while, and then your business gets going, and then you go on to I went on to the next thing. And not that we don't like community events, we sponsor things, but not like having the booth at the table. That has to be something that you're committed to doing. It takes a big commitment.
It is a big commitment. And there's, there's plenty of times. It's just like some open houses. I tell my agents, like, it's a numbers game. Sitting at a community event may not lead to any conversion, right? The same as sitting at an open house, but it's hours spent towards doing something that you could achieve some business. And again, what piece of that can you take and use as a touch to your personal database? Can you invite your database out to a fall festival that you have a table at and say, hey, come on by, we're giving away pumpkins all day? That's an email to your database, right? Right. And
so you have to be able to think and say, how can I repurpose all the content that I am doing?
Absolutely. And make it worthwhile, right? Like, the same thing I tell my agents with open houses is we always try to get like the Wi-Fi password. And I'm like, if nobody's coming in, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You send out 15 personalized videos to people in your database. You follow up with some leads. Like, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? You spend some time sitting in your business and reflecting on it and making some moves.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you're having them send out 15 personalized videos to people, inviting them to come to the open house?
Yeah, or whatever. Hey, you know, Sally, I see that you haven't opened your auto search. I'm wondering if I need to revise, you know, what you're looking for in home stuff. I mean, they just need to use that time to be focused on something that's business driven. And so I look at all these things as an investment. Probably 5 years ago is when I was like, I'm going to do a ton of open houses, maybe 6 years ago. And I do this exercise every time for my agents who are like complaining about open houses or doing stuff like this. And I have this calculation of, I worked like 8 open houses, how many hours, and what deals I could pinpoint back to those 8 open houses. And it wasn't much, but it was, what it averaged out to be was like $270 an hour. And I think that's a pretty good return on investment for a brand new agent, right? Like well, you weren't making that in the bar, were you? No. And I actually got out of bartending because it was a recession, and everybody heard that bartending was recession proof. And so everybody in Houston got their bartending license, and none of us were making any money. And that's actually, I was kind of forced out of bartending because all of a sudden all these new bartenders showed up, but it didn't matter. People weren't tipping. People may still have been drinking at the time, but they were just coming in, buying 2 drinks on happy hour and not tipping. And so I was like, I got to find a job. And it happened to be as a real estate assistant to an investor. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I did not need to know also. But it was a really good entry into a career that I love. I'm so passionate about our industry. I'm passionate about people like you that, are finding the solution and offering guidance to other realtors, because I think that together we all can do this job so much better and serve the customer better and really make it customer focused, which is at the end of the day, the original goal of everyone in real estate.
Yes, to have long-term relationships in business.
Absolutely.
And in life.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So we focus on the relationship, not the transaction. And transaction, it doesn't matter. Like they come and they go. Like it happens, we want them all to happen, but they all don't happen. We know that because of the Pareto principle in itself. Not everyone is going to, every interaction is going to lead to a, as we call them, a deal or contract. But it's a journey along the way and really enjoying it and learning from people.
Yeah, for sure. And, there are some times where I get beat down in this business where I'm like, I don't like people. I'm going to go back to my house and not host an event right now. But at the end of the day, most of the time, staying involved with our database, staying involved with our clients, having real communication with our agents and people we do business with is refreshing for me. And it solidifies the fact that like, it doesn't matter what I'm selling at this point. I like the relationships that happen that I've been graced with because of this business. And I like being funny. I like, I like it when people are stuck in a house with me and they have to laugh at my jokes or laugh awkwardly until I leave. So that's what brings me joy, right? And so basically every morning I wake up and say, like, what can we do in our business to do that better? So I don't have to pay the Zillow man for leads. Let's just figure out a way to reinvest that money back into our clientele.
100%. Yeah, I don't go for the Zillow thing, and we don't do anything like that. We focus on building what we have talking, regularly to our database of our clients and friends and family, and focusing on, building community and brand. So that takes time. People will say, well, what works? I go, I don't know which one works, but some of they work because the days of attribution are gone, like to say, pinpoint exactly. Because somebody, I just have a new client that I signed last week. She's like, I feel like I know you because I hear you on the radio all the time. She's like, then I saw your billboard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people see you and hear you in all different places. So you have to really be out there in the community, whether it's community focused events or you're doing, traditional advertising like we are with radio, TV, and billboards. And something I learned recently, Jena, I'd say in the last maybe year or so, I was new to doing traditional advertising, radio, and all that, and I was getting frustrated because I'm like, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sat back and I said, how much longer am I going to be in the real estate industry? And how much longer do I want to continue to build the brand?
Yeah.
And so you have to look at it like this is a lifelong thing, and it's and think about the value of the compound effect. So in the beginning of this podcast, you saw that 30-second clip.
Yeah.
That was me about talking about the compound effect, basically, of getting one tiny bit better every single day. Well, marketing is getting one tiny bit more out every single day, and the value of the compound effect over time. So all of those things that you've been doing, even if you don't, I would say, reap the reward ROI today, there's no ROI. It's right. Over a lifetime.
Right.
And what can you really do over a lifetime? I mean, you're so young. You have, probably, I don't know how many more years in real estate, 40 years in real estate left if you want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And and you're building a legacy.
I'm definitely going to be the little Texas lady with bright red lipstick and my hair, raised to Jesus. That's what we say down here. Selling real estate when I'm 75. And every time I meet that agent in our Houston market, I'm like, girl, I can't wait to be you.
That's right.
Yeah, I got 40 years left for sure.
So then that's what I give advice about. Think about the longevity, and I wish I would have known some of these things a couple of years back when, I look back. I ask people when I interview them, what's something that you did that professionally or personally in your life that looking back you would have done differently, and what would you have done differently? What did you learn from it? So like, just because I won the fight, arguing about whatever it is I was arguing about, I really didn't win. I lost, right? So
yeah,
when we win, we lose.
Yeah. I think I would have, I think I had a slow start for real estate. I think a ton of stuff has happened in the last 5 years, but I think in my first 5 years, I couldn't even see the bigger picture, right? Like at that point, it was just, survival, right? Like I had bills to pay. I've told this story before. The day I met my husband, I had a credit card come in the mail and it had an $1,800 credit card balance on it. And I knew that that was like the last bit of credit or anything I was going to be able to survive on until I started really selling some houses. I mean, we were real broke. And I think that kept me in a place of thinking really small for my first few years. I just remember saying like, well, maybe I'll be able to sell like $1 million worth of real estate, maybe 1 year. And, it just started so small. And I wish that I would have thought bigger sooner. And kind of stepped into like what the bigger picture could be. But you live and you learn. And, I worked really hard at some things that didn't, weren't super rewarding monetarily in those first 5 years. But one day it clicked and it all made sense. And then I started saying, like, we got to do bigger things. And I think my company this year is on track to do 100 million in sales. And
That's fantastic.
And that's up double from what they did last year. So I think we're making small changes every day that make us better. And it's not some huge overnight, big change. It's just a little bit better every day.
Exactly. That's what it's about. People think you have to do this. Oh, I have to do 180 degrees. Now, maybe you just need to turn 3 degrees or
yeah.
10 degrees, just a little bit, right? It's a little tweaks.
Yeah.
It's
for sure.
the little tweaks that make the big difference. It's not a big change. I think that's what a lot of times people don't recognize. I was like, what did you do differently? Well, let's see. I stopped doing the things that I wasn't good at.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's a big change.
That is a big change.
But it didn't take, there wasn't a big thing that happened for that to happen, meaning I didn't have to turn around 180 degrees. I just had to stop doing things that I wasn't good at.
Yeah.
As an example, just as an example, start doing more. I did a video yesterday about this. Start doing more of what you are good at, right? And then you can grow your capacity. But those are the things that are going to really be change. That's really going to give you what you want, the difference of where you are now, where you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you said about stopping what you're not good at and stopping things is actually great advice. And my business really changed when I made a list of things that I don't do anymore. It's really funny when we have a new staff member here, and like I go to a final walkthrough because I'm still in production, right? But then I also lead these other agents. And new staff member will be like, hey, Jena, I see you're doing a final walkthrough at 123 Main Street. Can you pick up the sign? And the other girls will be like, nope, don't ask Jena that. And because I will straight up walk over a sign in a lockbox, and they're just things that, like, I just don't, they're tiny little things, but they're tiny little things that pull me away from where I need to be. And when you really become like, it makes you feel very diva-ish also when you're like, I don't do these things. These are things I don't do anymore. But when you really step into that role, that's where like your business can start really changing, because you're not caught up in the things that may only take a second, but get you sidetracked from the goals that you've set for yourself.
No doubt. And it's a life learning thing.
I know,
because
we want to be pleasers, right? And we want to.
Yeah, and you can't. You have to have people that do things better than you, or what's the point?
Yeah.
Sometimes I have this one client who expects that I'm going to be the person that they talk to about everything. And I'm not the person. I'm actually the worst person to talk to about most things. Like, seriously. Yeah. I'm very honest about it. I'm not the person. I have a staff that is way better than me in almost all things, except for some things that I do best, right?
Right.
Because I'm like the talent. I'm the one that nobody else is doing, from a staff perspective, the videos. Like, I do that.
Right.
Like, that's not something that's replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking about how taking over things that are replaceable, not replaceable. Being on TV, doing an interview for a magazine. Those are Jena things.
Yeah.
Right? That's not, somebody else can't do that. So I made that list of all the things that only I can do. And then everything else has to be taken away. And by the way, it's still not all taken away, but we work on it. Yeah. And bringing more people in to take those things away. Always
working on it. It's like, my operations director and I meet pretty often, and every time we meet, she's like, okay, what's the new plan? Like, what's the new plan? We've been together on this real estate journey for 8 years. And
wow, that's great.
what is the plan now? And so, this has just evolved so much. And every time we think we have it figured out, something new comes up, and then there's a new plan, right? And so she actually said to me, I've been doing a lot of personal growth and and trainings and learning new things lately. And she said to me, like, where's my place at the table? Am I good? Are you sure I'm good? I don't want you replacing me. I said, your place at the table is because every time I tell you that there's a new thing, you say, all right, let's figure it out. And that kind of attitude just gets you so far, that there will always be a place at the table for you. There will always be a position for you, because the attitude, that's a whole personality type, right? Like somebody who can say, like, I don't know anything about this growth. I don't know what this is going to look like, but let's go. Like, if this is the vision, let's go. Man, I don't know how to hire specifically for that, but I have really good staff that has that mentality of, like, what do we need and what do we need to pivot in order to do this new thing that we need to do, which is just a great feeling. It's a great feeling to have that much trust in your staff that they, you don't walk out of the room and they're like, this lady is crazy, which they probably do say that. I have cameras here, I could check. They probably do say that, but they also are super supportive in the changes and in the evolution of the business. And when I say, can you guys buy 200 easels and canvas and painting supplies, because now we're an art studio, they're like, all right, Jena, whatever you say.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. So what is the next event you're going to have? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think I'm ready yet to have something up here, but we're getting close. I don't know what the next event is going to be yet. We've really kind of emphasized on we do pop buys to people's houses. I actually have a staff member who is a perfect staff member for waving in people's Ring cameras, smiling, and she delivers like 50 things in a day. And so we've really, since the beginning of COVID, we've probably done that 5 times to our top 100 clients. And
okay, she drives around in the car and she's delivering stuff. What is she delivering?
The last delivery we did was Girl Scout cookies in March. So boxes of Girl Scout cookies to clients' houses.
Okay.
And
so is her job to drive mostly every day to drive around?
No, just
what else does she do?
She does social media stuff, but she's just a really happy person who really has a lot of joy in giving people something. So she'll ring doorbells and she'll wave at Ring cameras, and I'll get messages from my clients who are like, hey, saw Sydney and she's popping by with some fun treats. Thanks for the treats. We've done like mixed beverage, little mixers. Our most famous pop buy that we do every year, no matter what's going on, is if you buy or sell a house with us that year, or if you've sent us more than 5 referrals, you get on a tamale list. Do you know what a tamale is? It's like
I do.
Okay, so
I never had one, I don't think, but I know what they are.
Tamales are like the big deal in Texas, aka Little Mexico, because you want, like, somebody's grandma made this amazing hot tamale, and that's kind of the thing that you eat at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. So we deliver a dozen hot tamales and homemade salsa to whoever bought or sold a house with us. Every year they get an email, they get to pick which kind they want. We have pork, chicken, or bean and cheese. And they know what day it's going to happen. And tamale day is actually the craziest because we're trying to deliver them where they're hot in time for dinner. And to everyone that bought or sold with me in a year. So normally it takes 4 people, myself included. This is a one pop by that I do. And we drive all around the city for like 5 hours, playing Christmas songs, delivering tamales.
Oh my gosh.
It's the funnest thing and also the craziest thing I've ever done. Because trying to deliver warm food to 100 plus people is mayhem.
That's impressive, Jena.
It's
very courageous of you.
It's mayhem, but now it's one of those things though that like now that I've done it, I can't ever not do it because like I set the bar too high and now people expect it. And I actually have clients who are like, crap, I need to get more referrals in because I didn't buy a house this year. So I'm on the tamale list for this year. So like, it's a really fun thing. And we have some great videos behind the scenes of us driving and eating tamales in our
Oh my
car.
God. So does a local restaurant provide these or?
A company. Yeah. It's just great. So me and there's a Houston Astros player that orders from the same lady that I order from, the lady who has a business doing this. And this Houston Astros player always orders a ton of tamales, but I've actually beat him on my order for the last 2 years. So him and I kind of have a standoff on who's going to order the most tamales. And so I'm always trying to, he's a really popular Astros player and a baseball player in Houston. So I'm always trying to sell more houses so I can order more tamales than this Astros player because it's kind of my bragging, like, well, that guy orders 75 dozen and like it's nothing, right? It cost us about $1,000 for all the food. Money super well spent at the end of the year. And every single one of my competitors, this is great if they're seeing this, every single one of my competitors, it's big in our markets, like, oh, here's your grocery store pie. And then I roll in with like a dozen hot tamales and salsa. And they're always like, why didn't I think of that? So
that's awesome.
It's kind of my, bragging right in the neighborhood. So
that's so much fun. How'd you come up with the idea?
I really like tamales and my husband always ordered them. And then we just felt like what would be different. And when we started this, we only had like 40 people to deliver to. So I didn't see how long-term this could be a nightmare, but you
just have to get more drivers.
Yeah, we had to get more drivers. People really all want me to do it, but there's just no way. Like I'll have clients who'll be like, "Oh, I thought it was going to be you," and yeah, I actually had a client who texted us at the last pop by, and he was like, Jena, all these years. So he normally works, and he's like, all these years, I thought that you delivered everything that came to my door. And I said, oh man, Jay, he's one of my best clients. I said, I'm sorry, are you disappointed? Or like, how does that make you feel that you found out? And he's like, I kind of found out like the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and actually delivering my pop-bys. And I was like, great, yeah, how does that make you feel? And he goes, oh, I'm fine. I'm just still eating my Girl Scout cookies, but I'm going to think about this for a minute. And I was like, see, you don't care that it's not me. You just want your Girl Scout cookies or your tamales and you're fine. You're okay.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
You're like the Easter Bunny. I found out there's no Easter Bunny.
I know, because there's a lot of people behind the scenes making it look super impressive. I just get to, show up every once in a while and get the credit.
Yeah, it's funny how that happens, right?
Yeah.
Jena, you certainly are the solution for your agents and for your clients. This was a great episode today. I actually took, I'm going to show you because you're probably like, what is she doing? But I actually took an entire notepad of notes from our podcast today because I'm so inspired by all these things that you're doing. And I remember when we were doing things in the early days and I'm like, we should get back to that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard. You get busy and you start to fall off, but at the end of the day, it's those connections that are going to keep paying the bills and keep bringing more people to the table, whether it's a consumer or staff, to be part of your organization. So, the focus for me going forward is like, let's keep investing money and into fun stuff and into our people. That's where I want to be going forward. And, I get to eat a few tamales or Girl Scout cookies along the way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for taking time today to share with us your success stories and some of your not so success stories because we learn from both, right?
Yeah.
We don't learn from just the good things. We learn from the things that didn't work too. So
right.
It was great to have you on the show, Jena. I appreciate you. I'm thankful and grateful.
Oh, I just love you so much. I'm so glad I got to know you so much better recently. We got to spend some time together. And I'm such a big fan. Thank you so much for having me. This means so much to me.
I wish you lived closer. We give you a big hug. We'll give you a virtual hug.
I know. I think I need to come see you though and eat.
You can come see me anytime in Philadelphia.
Yeah. See, Maria, you could deliver. I don't want to throw out ideas that are uncomfortable for you, but what if you delivered cheesesteaks to everybody?
Oh boy, my husband would actually love that because he's such a huge cheesesteak fan. Not that I don't like them, but because of the gluten-free thing.
Yeah. He probably knows
for me.
Place to get them.
Well, that's an argument. People fight over what the best place is. There's like an ongoing cheesesteak battle that's constantly going on.
See, that's your first event, a cheesesteak battle.
Cheesesteak battle, yes. Yeah, that's like would be mayhem. We'd have to find somewhere to do that. That would be crazy.
I
know. I have like literally, I was thinking about all these things while we were talking and writing notes down from what you're saying. So
awesome.
I'll let you know what we're going to decide to do.
All right. Well, if it's cheesesteaks, just figure out how to ship one down for me. I'd like to try that. Or
have you ever had it?
I don't think so. I've never been to Philadelphia, actually.
Oh. Never passed through in the airport or anything?
I'm sure I've passed through. And maybe like something small, like day trip. But I don't. Yeah, I need. That's a place.
You like onions?
Yep.
And cheese.
Yep. And bread.
And bread. Yeah. Well, the bread's that's what makes the sandwich. It's a big part of it. Well, this could be a whole nother show about the cheesesteak because it's really a big deal of how all of it goes together.
Right. Yeah. I know how that goes. It's the same in tamale world down here. So
yes, a similar situation.
Yes.
But we gotta love it, right?
Maria, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.